NVIDIA has just become the biggest company in the world. Is there more room to run? Will NVIDIA become a $10 trillion company? Let's find out. By the way, as it says, NVIDIA passes Microsoft in market cap to become the most valuable public company. By the way, shout out this too, like and subscribe. So yeah, NVIDIA recently trades at $136.40 after hours. And yeah, it's a 3.2-ish, 3.3-ish trillion dollar market cap, surpassing Microsoft, surpassing Apple, surpassing, well, by many times Tesla. So yeah, everybody wishes they own Tesla or NVIDIA stock. Am I right? If you don't own it, you wish you owned it. The stock has gone up so much the last couple of years. It is amazing. By the way, I released a video back in February. I basically asked the question, NVIDIA, is it going to become the first $10 trillion company? Well, this is an update to that video. A lot has changed since then. So let's revisit that thought. And can NVIDIA become a $10 trillion company? So Jensen Huang is a superstar. I mean, he is, just look at this. Don't you wish you were him? Complete rock star. So yeah, NVIDIA, what did they do? This is their first ever product. The first ever product powered this. What do they power now? How do they power this? By the way, that first product was from the Sega Saturn. It was I think it's called the NV1, the first ever chip. So yeah, what brings NVIDIA to these heights? Why is NVIDIA a $3.2 trillion company? Artificial intelligence. And I think I probably generated this image. So yeah, let's get into it. So why? Why did NVIDIA jump 3x this year? Why is NVIDIA up 10x the last 2 years? Well, primarily the H100, but lately Blackwell. NVIDIA Blackwell and wave of data center scale platforms to power the trillion parameter AI era. Okay, so what Blackwell is, it is NVIDIA's upcoming, to be released later this year, inference chip. So what that means is that it will basically take a trained model and you supply input and it will provide you the output for that information. So AI has two sides. There's training and there's inference. If you want me to go into more details on that, just ask. But yeah, inferencing is the next level of AI. And inferencing requires different chip requirements than training. It's more based on memory size and memory bandwidth. So yeah, the H200, so branching off to the H200 supersedes the H100 and by a significant number. I mean, just look at this. It is up over 40% over the H100. And the H100 is the current market leader. These are enormous. This is just enormous. The H100, this is tokens per second on Llama 2 70 billion results. From 20,500 for the H100 to 29,526. That's a 45% improvement. And the H200 is soon to be released. So yeah, it's gonna skyrocket. NVIDIA. Oh, by the way, let me get rid of my face. I'm blocking the screen. Here you go. You want to see my ugly mug anyway, right? Okay, so what else is NVIDIA doing? You don't reach $3.2 trillion by just by doing just that. So NVIDIA has actually got their tentacles everywhere. So what they're doing now is NVIDIA is empowering autonomous machines, robots. So this is basically the robot model. So they're calling it autonomous machines. This includes robots, cars, anything that moves, autonomous. And actually, as you can see on the bottom right here, there's actually 3 components to this model. And these are what they basically say, this is what builds the robot. So you have the artificial component at the top, the AI called DGX. You got the robotic system called AGX, and you got the Omniverse digital twin, OPX. Now, they're each distinct different systems, and they sort of function in their own way. Basically, what happens is the Omniverse trains the AI. It's the digital twin. It's the digital world. It's the digital physical world representing the physical world that the AI is going to run against. So it allows people to train their models. It's basically what that does. So what that allows people to do, and they're going to sell each of these services to consumers at a very high margin, especially the AI. They're going to sell the chips. They're going to sell the brains for these robots. NVIDIA is not going to build the robots themselves. That's going to be lower margin. They're going to sell them the chips, which is a very high margin market. It's going to have 80% gross margins. It's huge. The Omniverse digital twin will likewise have very high margins because it just runs in software. That's just a digital world. Okay, so getting into Blackwell. Blackwell compared to Hopper. For FP8, by the way, that's floating point 8-bit. It's 2.5x Hopper. They're newly introduced now the FP6 and the FP4. Those are designed to run faster than FP8 for people that don't necessarily need as much accuracy, because these are, FP6 is 6-bit, FP4 is 4-bit. If you don't know, that just means that it's a less number of variability. So the models are less accurate. So in certain scenarios, you will need these less accurate models because they run so much faster. Look at FP4. It runs 5 times faster than Hopper. 5 times. Holy cow. So you got the memory size of 740 billion parameters. That's 6 times the model size. HBM bandwidth, 34 trillion parameters per second. That's 5 times Hopper. It's just everything. NVLink bandwidth, this is memory bandwidth of 7.2 trillion terabytes per second. That's 4x Hopper. So that's going to release later this year, and it's just blowing the doors off of Hopper. It also blows the doors off of AMD's offering. So NVIDIA is going to conquer the inferencing market, just like they conquered the training market. So what they're doing also is they're releasing a thing called the GB200. What this is, it's a combination chip. It's one Grace CPU, which NVIDIA will create. Just as an FYI, back in, say, Hopper and prior, NVIDIA was using Intel CPUs. So they've said goodbye to Intel, and they're going with Grace CPUs. Grace CPUs run on ARM. I'm not going to go into details on that, but yeah, it's no longer x86, it's running on ARM. And these CPUs are going to be built by, well, they're designed by NVIDIA. I'll just say that. It's an NVIDIA designed chip. So this combines one Grace CPU and 2 Blackwell GPUs. Just as the FYI, what they did with Blackwell is actually they fused 2 GPUs together to create this massive monster chip. And then they have these interconnects between those chips. So it acts as one giant GPU. How they did it? Magic. So yeah, this has 40 petaflops of AI performance, 864 gigabytes of memory, 16 terabytes of HBM, and 3.6 terabytes of NVLink bandwidth. By the way, NVLink is so good that 5 competitors had to come up with a competitor solution to NVLink. So yeah, over the last 8 years, NVIDIA has achieved 1,000 times AI compute from just 19 teraflops for Pascal to now 20,000 teraflops for Blackwell. So it is enormous. And here's another interesting chart. These are actually back in the GTC conference. Just shows how far NVIDIA has come and what's going to happen. So you can see here, Blackwell is 30 times Hopper in inferencing on this particular model. And you'll also notice that these actually exit out. These stop at, this one stops at 20, this one stops at 30, user tokens per second. So basically what that means, the reason that those models stop is because they run out of memory. And due to the extremely high memory capacity of Blackwell, that's why it's able to just continue going and going and going. Kind of like the Energizer Bunny, right? So these are the various things that NVIDIA is sort of branching into. So what they got is they got text, images. These are basically the models that they're working on. It's a multi-model interface. So you got text, images, video, text, again, speech, multimodal amino acids. Got brainwaves, images, videos, three-dimensional stuff, sound, animation, proteins, speech. So yeah, what they're doing is they got all these different things that they're sort of using as learning tools in order to power their artificial intelligence. So they do things that nobody else does, like branching into robotics. So yeah, what they're doing, this is actually an agility robotics product. So NVIDIA is showcasing their customers' products here. So what happens is, as I mentioned, these other companies are building these robots, but NVIDIA is supplying them the CPUs, or the computers, the chips. Also, NVIDIA supplies them the Omniverse training simulations. So, and that's going to be much higher margins than the robots themselves. So you got this robot here from Agility Robotics. You got this robot here from Aptronic. And okay, so this is Omniverse. So what this is this is a digital training simulation. In this particular scenario, this robot is walking across this virtual simulated world. And the whole idea is to walk across this staggered, uneven ground and not fall over. That's the whole goal here. Don't fall over. Continue walking, don't fall. So they use this to train their neural nets for their artificial intelligence. There's actually a whole video on it of this robot walking across this floor in this digital world. You'll see other robots in the background as well. Now, and with also different floor types, you got steps over there, you got little jagged stuff in the back. So they use this digital world to simulate different scenarios and different environments to train the artificial intelligence. And you got things like ARM robots, not ARM the CPUs, the ARM robots that actually build things. You've also got digital twins for driving simulations. That's another big area of NVIDIA is autonomous vehicles. I'll just call it autonomous vehicles so I don't get it mixed up with another company. So this is the Omniverse digital twin for the Drive Sim. So this is the Drive AV. And it's just huge. So going back to the Blackwell platform, you got the B100, the NVLink switch, the GB200 super chip on a node, the Quantum X800 switch, and the Spectrum X800 switch. So I'm not going to go into details on all these, and I got into details on most of them already. Now, this is the magic. This is where NVIDIA makes their money. This is the king money maker. And this is why NVIDIA is worth $3.2 trillion today. Here's one data center with 32,000 GPUs. Now think about it, 32,000 GPUs. If each GPU costs $30,000 and you have 32,000 GPUs, or 32,000 GPUs in this data center, you can do the math. So anyway, this data center has 645 exaflops of AI performance. It has 13 petabytes of fast memory, 56 petabytes per second of aggregate NVLink bandwidth, and 16.4 petaflops of in-network computing. So yeah, NVIDIA just owns the artificial intelligence market. They have about 80% of it, and they are not giving it up. They're going full steam ahead. Here's an Omniverse digital twin of a warehouse. So in this particular scenario, you got robots going about the warehouse, transporting stuff around that warehouse. As you can see, this is more for pathfinding. So they can pick the correct path accurately within the warehouse. This also allows them to interact with other robots, so that way they don't sort of get all stuck, and you'll get 16 robots all stuck in one spot. They can intelligently path their way around each other. So NVIDIA just going everywhere, full steam ahead. Here's their roadmap. Now they're doing a 1-year cadence. They're releasing new sets of products every year. So this year you've got, as we mentioned, the H200. You've got Blackwell. You got the GB200. In 2025, you got the X1. Just all these different categories. Now you'll notice that each category you got ARM training and inference, which is actually starting this year. You got ARM inference starting this year. x86 training and inference, which has been going for a while. x86 enterprise and inference is starting this year, and it's actually, you can see H100 is branching into 2 different products. Then you've got InfiniBand AI infrastructure starting this year, and Ethernet X enterprise and hyperscale AI infrastructure starting this year. So yeah, NVIDIA is investing in all the right places, and nobody can compete. Okay, let's go into my DCF valuation model. Now, I did this DCF valuation back in February. I'll just give you a precursor. I nailed it. Okay, so what's DCF? DCF stands for discounted cash flow. Basically, what it says is it's a valuation model for companies. It basically says the current value of a company is the sum of all of its future cash flows discounted to the present day values. And it's discounted using a discount rate. And it's done in various different categories. In our case, what's important is equity research, buy, sell, hold. Okay, so going into the history of NVIDIA, they had recorded $10.3 billion in 2019, growing to $25 billion in 2023. You'll notice that they slowed down actually from 2022 to 2023, only a growth of 1.7%. But as you'll soon see, wow. I'll show you in a second. Just wow. So yeah, cost of goods is increasing. Just everything's just trending the right direction there. Everything is fine. It's about to get really good. Really good. Okay, so before I go further, Lisa Su recently stated that she expects AI CAGR to grow 70% over the next 3 years. Now, please note, these numbers, these years, are fiscal years. So NVIDIA is actually currently in their second quarter 2025 fiscal year. So they are right now here, just so we're all on the same page. So yeah, in 2024, NVIDIA recorded $46 billion of results in data center. That's an increase of 200%. So I'm estimating 70% gains over the next 3 years after that, growing to $695 billion in 2033. That is more than double Apple's current total company revenues. That includes the iPhone, the iPad, the Macs, Vision Pro, everything Apple does today. I think NVIDIA will do in artificial intelligence alone in 10 years. So I think it's going to be huge, and it's shown in the results. Here's the historical results plus the future results. So this is the same thing I just showed you in graph form. Actually, going back one slide, you'll notice that AI grew from $3 billion in 2019 to $3 billion in 2020 to $6.6 billion in 2021 to $10 billion in 2022, $15 billion to $46 billion. This is when AI exploded, was fiscal year 2024. The big thing that drove that actually was OpenAI with ChatGPT. It drove demand for artificial intelligence products through the roof. Okay, so let's just go on further. I'm estimating gaming growing at an average of 10% per year. Same thing for professional visualization. And frankly, there's such a small segment of the results, I don't really care about them anymore. It's all AI. All AI, all the way. So this gives us a whack of the whack-a-mole chart of 11.67%. The reason it's a little higher than normal is because the elevated beta. Beta is the volatility compared to the market in general. So this gives us full company DCF projections of $57 billion in 2024, growing to $717 billion in 2033. You can see the percent growth in each year, growing from 125% in 2024 to 7.91% in 2033. Again, I did this valuation model back in February, so some of these numbers are out of date. But in general, I think it's still pretty accurate. And you can see the generated cash flows growing to $338 billion in unlevered free cash flow in 2033. That is a magical number. So you take all these numbers, what do you get? You get a terminal value implied stock price of $1,009.92. On the multiple side, I calculated a multiple, again, this is February, of $1,488.16. Now, again, February, this is pre-stock split, so divide these numbers by 10 to get the current valuations. So back in February, NVIDIA had a stock price of $722.48. So I was projecting a 72% upside in NVIDIA stock. I nailed it a little bit early, but I nailed it. Yeah, I had an implied share price of $1,249.04, and NVIDIA has since surpassed that. So congrats to NVIDIA. Congrats to all NVIDIA shareholders. They are knocking it out of the park, and they deserve that valuation. Oh, by the way, to answer the question of the video, will NVIDIA reach $10 trillion? I have them really close. I have them at a value, a multiple value, I can't talk today, of $8.3 billion in 2033. So that's what I have them at in 10 years, is $8.3 billion. Now again, if AI outperforms my expectations are, I think, pretty decent, pretty fair, I think. But if NVIDIA outperforms those expectations, it can easily surpass $10 trillion in 10 years. Easily. It's really there. It's almost there. It would be almost there already. $8.3 trillion to $10 trillion. Is that really that much of a difference? It's less than 20%. It's less than 20% difference. So just a little change, and NVIDIA would be over $10 trillion. So yeah, if you want to download the full NVIDIA company analysis and valuation model, it's up on my Patreon. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.